Layali Grove is a vast open map in Delta Force operations and one that you're going to be spending plenty of time on, especially if you want to complete your missions, many of which are based on this map. As a day one Delta Force player, I've got a quick beginner's guide to Layali Grove for you today. We're going to be covering key areas of the map, all player spawns and extracts, important keycards, and a few map secrets that you need to know about. Drop a like and a sub if you enjoy it, and let's jump straight into it. Compared to Zero Dam, Layali Grove is a much bigger and more open map, but you're also going to have to watch out for minefields, crocodiles, enemy snipers, and some other features that you might not be used to from the other maps. Layali is usually available in both easy and normal modes, and both game modes have a 35-minute game timer to reflect that larger map size. On top of that, there's 22 possible team spawn locations on this map, as you can see indicated here, and you can also have up to 8 teams or 24 players spawning on the map at any one time. Once you've spawned into the map, you're going to be fighting over some key areas, the biggest of which are going to be the lab and radar station in the north, and then also the Sparkling Empress Hotel down in the south. These two areas have the highest loot density, and the northern area also is blurred on the minimap. There's a radar jammer. You also see this on Space City. That means that you can't see where you are when you're moving around in this area on the map. Though keep in mind, if you ping on the ground where you're standing and then look on your map, you'll see that marker place. So even though it will still be blurred, you'll be able to see where you are on that blurry part of the map by pinging the ground. Unlike Zero Dam, there's a lot more areas of interest on this larger map that actually have a reasonable amount of loot. The Transnova Station area, the storage center has a bit. This also has an area that can be opened by completing a mission that can be located around this AA site down here. You then have Aminya Village, which is another large area with a lot of loot. Over to the east, we have the small train station and then Gurab Desolation. Down to the south, you can find a small amount of loot down at Blue Wharf. Then we also have another small area, the checkpoint. And then over on the west, Desert Trails Farm, the Garby building or the church, and the Manor House, which is a very small building there, and the substation, which is another small area. All of these named areas are worth having a look at for loot, but the hotel and the lab are the main two. And on top of that, you also sometimes have a map event. If you have a video play at the beginning of the round showing a plane crashing, then in this area down here, you're going to see a plane marked on the map, and you can go and loot this plane crash, and there's a lot of good loot there, including a keycard room. If you don't get that video intro play, then this will just be a normal riverbed. So lots of options for places for you to loot on this map. When you spawn in at one of these 22 checkpoints, the 8 possible teams are going to be divided up to 4 on each side, like you see on Zero Dam. You can put a line down the middle here. You can see there's 11 possible spawn locations on each side of this line. As with Zero Dam, if you spawn on the east, then your extraction points will be on the west, and if you spawn on the west, then your extraction points will be on the east. So you won't have the same extraction as everyone else. You only have the same extraction points as people who spawned on your side of the map. That said, there are some special extraction points that are shared between all teams. There are 8 possible extractions in total on Layali Grove. You can see them marked in pink on the map here. The fixed extraction points on the west side of the map, so these ones you'd have if you spawned east, are the northern farm extraction point and then the southern farm extraction point as well. On easy mode, both these are just regular fixed extractions. You walk up to them, they have a 10-second countdown, and you extract. They work in exactly the same way. On normal difficulty, the south farm one is actually a no backpack extraction, so you'll have to drop your backpack to extract here, but the north farm one is still just a normal extract on normal difficulty. The same applies over on the other side of the map, so the eastern ones, you have this one at Gurab, which is a normal fixed extraction, and then this one just south of Gurab, which is also a normal fixed extraction on easy difficulty. But if you're playing on normal, this southern one again becomes a no backpack one. You'll have to drop your backpack to extract there, but the north Gurab one, this is just a normal fixed extract no matter what. On top of that, you also have these two here. These are random extraction points. There's one on the east and one on the west. These are only available on easy difficulty, and these are the random ones, meaning they'll be active at random times throughout the map. If they're active, then they'll have green smoke coming out of them. If there's no green smoke, they're not active and you can't use them. So those are the ones that are dependent on your spawn location. If you spawn over on the east side of the map, then you'll have these ones available. If you spawn on the west, then you'll have these eastern ones available. The two that are shared between all teams on the map are the train station and the paid extract. The paid extract is right on the south of the map, just south of the hotel. On easy difficulty, you're going to have to pay 10,000 alloy to extract, and on normal difficulty, that's going to be 40,000 alloy to extract. And that means alloy you've acquired during that raid by completing tasks. So tasks are things like enemy elimination, HVT contracts, special tasks, stuff like that. They give you an amount of of alloy, and you can then use that to extract here. Or if you kill players who have completed tasks, then you can take that money off them and then extract using that if you wish. Or you can just use a normal extract and keep that money. Obviously on easy, it's quite easy to get 10k. That's basically the minimum from any task. Getting 40k on normal is going to require you to either do a special task or to complete 2, maybe even 3 other tasks. So they don't really tend to get used as much on normal difficulty. There's 4 maximum slots available on this for both easy and normal. So that's 1 full team and a solo could use it. And keep in mind, when you put your money in to use this, there's then a 30-second countdown until you extract. So longer than the other extracts, you're going to have to hold out for a little bit longer before you're off the map at this paid extract. The final extract point on Layali Grove is at Transnova Station in the north middle of the map. So about 3 minutes into the start of the game, you'll get an announcement that the train is arriving on the map. That kind of comes in like this sort of way, and it stops at this station here. Once this train has arrived a few minutes into the game, you can then start using this extraction point if you wish. In order to use it, you need to pull a lever that's marked on your map. That's found down here at the south end of the station. Once you've pulled that lever, there's going to be a 1-minute countdown until the doors on that train open, and then there's going to be another 5 minutes on top of that, and then those doors will close and that train will leave, and whoever's in the train will extract. So it's 6 minutes in total from when you first pull that lever. You can also find loot on the train. There's a large safe and a briefcase, among other things, and this can only be used once. Once that train is gone, it can't be used again. The train won't come back, and it'll also alert other players on the map when this lever has been pulled. They'll know that someone is using the train extract, so keep that in mind when you're trying to do this one. It could become quite hot. Layali Grove also has its own boss that can spawn. He's called Reis, and you can find him at one of 2 different locations, unlike Zero Dam, where you always see Said in the same place. Reis isn't guaranteed to spawn, but if he does spawn, it's going to be either in the radar station building or in the hotel, in the main building in the middle of this compound. Keep in mind, sometimes there's temporary events on. At the time of making this video, there's an event on where you'll see the helicopter boss from Rakesh, as well as Said running around in the lab, and you might find Reis down here. But for the majority of the time when that event isn't on, you're just going to have Reis, and he's going to be found in radar or hotel. You can tell if he's there because you can hear his music playing if you have music enabled, and you'll hear him singing along to it as well. And as well as him being quite powerful, he carries a shotgun and can pretty much one-tap you in the head. He also has some guards with him which are a bit tougher than normal guards as well. As with most bosses, if you can just quickly shoot him in the head, he will go down quite quickly, or you can try and chip away his guards and get rid of them and then pick him off using your teammates' help. Just to expand a little bit more on the 2 key areas, the lab and the hotel. The lab has this large outside area. There's a lot of loot in this outside area as well as in the main station. You have several large buildings that you can go in. There's also a ton of keycard rooms in here. There's at least 4 or 5 different keycards you can use to access different rooms in this area. So if you want to loot this fully, make sure you check all of these outbuildings. There's tons of containers in there, and they can all offer up stuff. There's flight cases. There's loot that just spawns on the ground. And then, of course, there is the main radar station building, which could have the boss in it and also has a ton of keycard rooms as well. There's also one of the 2 rarest keycard rooms in here on Layali Grove, the radar station UAV platform. It's a very expensive keycard. You go up this elevator on the very top floor of the radar station, and that gets you onto this platform that has some flight cases and a large safe. It can often feel quite underwhelming, but there is a chance of it spawning good items just on the ground up there. As with all keycards, it's just a gamble whether you get something good or not. I haven't really had a huge amount of luck with it, but it is one of the most expensive keycards for Layali Grove. There's also the radar station side entrance keycard can be useful to have here, because that also gives you an extra way in and out of the radar station down in this little corner here, rather than you having to use the main door. So if you've been blocked in by a team, or you want to sneak up on someone, you might be able to make your way in and out this side door if you have this keycard. As for access to this compound, there's a ton of different ways you can find your way in through various main doors. There's also an elevator that goes up over the wall, and there's also tunnels that go into it from Transnova Station. There's a tunnel you can access down here at the north of the station, and that brings you up into this southern area of the lab, and from there you can contest other teams and make your way around and loot the area. The other big area we talked about is the sparkling Empress Hotel. This is a very large compound. You have the main hotel building in the middle, where we said Reis might spawn the boss, but there's also a lot of outbuildings. This huge southern area here has a ton of buildings and loot in it, and just like the lab area, there's a load of different keycard rooms here. Lots of small ones, medium medium ones. Lots of little side rooms that aren't keycarded that you want to check. Make sure you look in the bathrooms, look in the bath. You're going to find all sorts of great loot in here. It's got a very high loot density. As with the lab, there's a load of different routes in here from all sorts of different angles, over walls, through holes in the walls, through the main doors. And there's also another red keycard room that you can loot here. This is the King Suite, and this is one of the ones I've had some of the best loot from on this map. This is upstairs in the main hotel building, and if you go in here, you're going to find large safes, lots of other containers, and I've even found red items like the bust of Claudius just sat on the side in the bathroom here, so make sure you check the bathrooms if you're going to loot the King Suite. We mentioned a minute ago the tunnel going from the station into the lab. There's actually a few other tunnels. These were added onto the map a few months after initial release. One of those is located down the southwest in the farm. It's in the middle of the field. It doesn't travel very far, but it does have two different entrances. There's also another one that's located just to the north of Blue Wharf that goes underneath one of these rocky outcrops. And then there's another tunnel you can use to the south of Transnova Station that goes from just to the south of the road outside and brings you up in the compound just by the lever for the train extract. So that's everything for today. If you found the video helpful at all, then drop a like and a sub, and make sure you check out some of my other Delta Force extraction guides on YouTube. I've got dozens of them already covering all sorts of topics. Thanks so much for watching. My name's Ben, we are the Beard Guys, and I'll see you next time.